Here in East Texas, stories matter. On the Right Team podcast, we bring you the best of it all. Local sports, rich history, and national takes with a hometown perspective, along with faith and inspiration to keep you moving forward. From the classroom to the field, we're about learning, growing, and celebrating the communities we call home. There's something here for everyone. Listen to the Right Team podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts. The Right Team podcast. East Texas stories told right. Hello again, and welcome to a special episode of From the Press Box on the Right Team podcast. I'm coming to you from deep in the piney woods of East Texas. This is David Weaver. I'm the host of the Right Team podcast, and I am excited to welcome a special guest today who I'm pretty sure is enjoying a few whirlwind days at the moment. I know he's enjoying one right now. None other than the new head volleyball coach at Hallsville High School here in Hallsville, Coach Andrew Harbison. Coach, welcome to the Press Box on the Right Team podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
So I've looked at your resume here, and I mean, you literally were hired, I think, last week. So you've been on the job here about a week or so, and you're caught kind of in that little whirlwind, as we said, of I think working between two schools at the same time, kind of thing. But kind of how has that been going? And kind of before we get to that part here, though, let's fill in your professional resume. Just with some things that how you got to this point.
So I played volleyball in high school in California, grew up playing out there. And then I went to Oklahoma Wesleyan University, and I was the student assistant there for 4 years and stayed on as assistant coach for 2 years. And then I took the head volleyball position at Bartlesville High School. And so I stayed there for a year, and my wife and I were like, well, what are we doing in Oklahoma? She's from Texas. I'm from California. I couldn't afford to live in California. So we're like, we're coming to Texas. And so got a job at Longview as an assistant coach. I was the interim head coach there for 1 year while the coach was on maternity leave. I stayed there, I think it was 8 years. And then I got another head job at New Diana, and I was there for 6 years. Was able to take them to the regional tournament, had some success there, and then took over the Spring Hill job and was there at Spring Hill for 7 years, taking them to regional tournament twice, and then the state semifinals last year.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into this resume that I was just talking about. I mean, you've obviously been doing this a while, almost 30 years, right? I mean,
my first coaching job was in '98. So, yeah.
I can relate to that. First job out of college, for sure. And so that just leads this question here that just kind of pops in my head. But how has high school volleyball, the game, or kind of the surroundings of it, if you will, if that makes sense, how has that changed in your almost 30 years?
So I was there when they added the libero position. When I played, it was not rally scoring, and so I've seen that.
I remember those days also. Those matches could drag on forever.
Yes,
back in the old days.
Yes, and so I've seen that. And then this year in high school volleyball, the double has been allowed for setting, which I think is a good move because it's less subjective, and officials and coaches don't argue as much about, was that a double or not. And I think this coming year we're going to be allowed to have 2 liberos. The evolution of the game is changed over time, but I think it's for the better, makes the game more interesting, more competitive. And then just, as we go into, the kid changes a little bit with, hey, now cell phones are attached to them, and you know, getting kids outside to play. When you started, there was not as much distraction. But I mean, you adapt as a coach, and you got to work with the kids that you have at hand, and like, hey, I'm going to meet you where you're at, and we'll work on goals together.
So, I mean, your career overall record just kind of speaks for itself. 403 and 203. That's basically doubling, your win total there over your losses. That's pretty impressive. Most recently at Spring Hill, of course, you went 155 and 27. I believe you said in 6 years at Spring Hill.
That sounds right.
State semifinalist, of course, last fall there at Spring Hill, and then a regional finalist as well in 22 and 23. So with all of that success, Coach, what about Hallsville in particular made that a spot that you would even consider leaving a program like Spring Hill that you had built into a state semifinalist?
So I wanted there's a challenge with adding an A to the going from 4A to 5A, and it was just one of those things that I felt God was directing me in this way and opening some doors. I told some people that hey, I was happy at Spring Hill, and I thought Spring Hill treated me well, and they it was a good job to have. Like you said, a 4A powerhouse that we did really well. And then Hallsville reached out to me and just prayed about it a lot, and I just said, it's got to be, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, and they checked all the boxes for having me come over. So Hallsville also has a strong volleyball tradition. I felt like I could win with these kids, and I just was ready for a challenge of trying to develop these kids and get them success in the playoffs is kind of my focus.
Yeah, and that's kind of the difference here that you see with your move coming into a program like Hallsville. It's not a rebuild, right? I mean, it's the goals here are not typically what you might see in a coaching change. I mean, it's to try to take it to the next level, and it starts, I would guess, with a pretty good incoming senior class, right? I mean,
no, yeah, we've had some spring league games that I've watched, and I've come over here a couple times and watched the kids practice, and they got a lot of talent. We've got some size up there, and got four quality seniors coming back, and then a strong junior class as well, and so I think the talent's there. Is we're working on chemistry, we're working on systems, we're working on becoming tough players, and stuff that I feel like we can be one of the best teams around here in East Texas. But I mean, our first round is going to be Metroplex. We're gonna be playing one of those teams, and so I've challenged the girls so far as we've got to minimize our mistakes. We've got to be efficient, and be tough in the sense that we're not playing Henderson. We're not playing Spring Hill. We're not playing Longview in these spring league. It's Hallsville playing Hallsville, and so we've got to do the things that we got to do, so that when we see a Metroplex team that's just as loaded as we are, we can find ways to win.
We've talked about that on our podcast a lot over this past school year in terms of that metro DFW metro area being our bi-district competition. And in a lot of the sports, they kind of have had our number for several years. And you mentioned that. I mean, kind of just from a bird's eye view, I mean, how do you break that cycle of East Texas being able to compete with those bigger programs?
Well, I mean, it's a tough chore that we're going to have to do. We've got to be in some gyms where we're not the best team in the gym. We've got to be, playing some competitions, and, we've got to have the number one, the confidence, the belief that we can. And it's just going to be how efficiently we can run our offense. What is going to be is our defense going to be able to adapt to the speed and the skill that's coming at us? And so you'll naturally play to the level that you're playing at. So I've scheduled a really tough tournament seasons, and we're going to 3 tough tournaments, and so early on we may not have the record that we want, but hopefully playing those tough teams, we find ways to win. We find some stuff up about ourselves, and we need to see the speed and the competitiveness at that high level, the 5A, 6A level of, and Texas has some of the best volleyball in the nation. Nebraska is known for a volleyball state, California and Texas, all, there's, great talent coming out of all 3 of those states.
Is that kind of the secret, you think, or one of the major secrets, I guess? Well, the way you describe it, it's not really a secret, I guess, because everyone says we got to play better competition to get better, right? I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. But is that kind of to build that consistent, always in the mix kind of program that pushes for deep runs in the playoffs every year? Is that kind of the secret or part of the secret to that?
Well, it's going to depend a lot of time, for year after year after year. Sometimes you have easier paths than others. And so right now, Hallsville does not. I mean, it's right out the gun. The first 2 rounds are tough. If you can survive the first 2 rounds, you're probably going to make it to the regional finals. It's just the first thing that I did when I got the job was, I looked at, our next our bi-district competition, and I was like, okay, who's big school, who's small school, and right here I got a list of of teams and what their enrollment was, and I'm like, okay, where are we going to fall? What, who do I need to start scouting? And so, I want to be prepared for who we play. I feel like I can get the kids focused. So I mean, it depends on where your team is. Sometimes you need to schedule some confidence builders to get your kids. You're like, hey, or at least one tournament where, if you get beat up too much, the kids can get, oh, I give up or depressed. But I feel like with this junior and senior class that, there has to be an emphasis on, like, we got to go compete. We have to have competition. I feel like we're building mental toughness, and just, we have this standard that we're going to hold to.
So obviously you just were announced as the head coach, and it's right here at the end of the school year, and when everything else is just exploding, right? I mean, this is. I was telling a lady this morning, this is the absolute busiest time of the year for an educator. May,
Sure.
right? I mean, the end of the year and everything going in, which I would imagine would be not the most ideal time to try and get ready for a fall season. What's your immediate schedule look like in terms of getting settled with this thing, and what is your kind of transition plan look like going into the summer?
Sure. So I visited with Spring Hill when I took the job, and asked if I could come over, and I had committed. I was the head track coach over there, the head girls track coach, and I visited with my superintendent. And she said, "Well, we want you to finish track," and I said, "I 100% understand. I committed to that. I want to see those girls through." And so as soon as track's over, they're going to let me come over to Hallsville, and we're gonna have tryouts in May. We're gonna evaluate the kids. I'm gonna bus the eighth graders over. We're gonna have some open gyms, and it's gonna be fast and furious. And then the UIL allows us to have 1 hour of sports specific instruction during the summer, and so we're gonna take a week off. Let them get hungry for volleyball. I'm going to instruct them. I was like, I don't even want you touching the ball, because when we come back, we're gonna hit the ground running. And so we'll work on our chemistry issues. We're gonna work on individual skills. And so this summer we're gonna put in some time, with strength and speed. Coach Green's got a program all lined up for getting those girls stronger, keeping them healthy, building up their verticals and shoulder strength and stuff like that. We've been kind of talking about that, and then we're gonna work on our skills. And I've taken some notes on some areas that we need to get better at. And we've got some talent, but like I said, there's the standard that we have to compete at. Not just being the best team in East Texas, we need to be able to be one of the best teams in the state. And so that's kind of we're gonna work through the summer, and then if I need to adjust come August, hey, I'm gonna move this kid to JV, I'm gonna move this kid to varsity, because it's really a short time. Normally I'm evaluating all year, and we're looking at the progress and stuff like that. But that's kind of my plan, and we're gonna go to work, and we're gonna put in that time, and have set goals as a team, individual and team, and kind of talk about our non-negotiables, and just we're gonna consistently work on those goals, and be ready come August.
What excites you the most just sitting here today? And I know this is kind of a big question at this point, but what excites you the most in terms of the potential of the future of Ladycat volleyball?
So looking at the records, we were the freshman team, the JV team were district champs, varsity was district champs, and so I know that I've got a pipeline of kids coming through that, again, just when they're working hard, I know the talent's going to be there, and so it's exciting to me to see, hey, can I take some talent, and can we do something special with it?
Okay, last question here, but how do you kind of stay grounded from the grind of coaching? As far as what are some things you like to do away from volleyball, your hobbies, interests, that kind of thing?
So I make sure, and my wife really helps me stay grounded, and I got to make sure that I don't just coach. I got to take a break, and we're going to plan a trip. I love to travel. but we're going to plan a trip over Memorial Day, go up to New England, and we maybe doing some camping here around. But just, and then probably, just doing some handyman stuff around the house, but I'll be, just hanging out with my son, going swimming, going camping, going hiking, playing games. And so I'll do that. And then I have to flip the switch. And so when it's volleyball mode, especially, and I gotta, remind myself, okay, I'm married, I have a kid, but when it's volleyball mode, volleyball, like sometimes I get hyper focused and obsessed about, watching film and getting lineups and tuning this and designing practices. And I do tend to that. And so, I'm a work in progress to keep that balanced. But usually where I'm at, I try to be 100% where I'm at. And so I'll, focus on volleyball and then, take a break from it or something.
Well, based on the results, you found the pretty good middle ground there, I would say, right? I mean, you feel like you've been able to do that to this point.
Yeah, with some help from my wife, and she
kind of keeps you grounded when
yeah,
you do
she
stray
does.
either way.
She does. She
tend to do that.
like, hey, come to bed, stop watching film, stuff like that. So, but anyway.
Well, Coach, I know you're busy this time of year with the transition and everything, and I appreciate you hopping on with us here for a few minutes. I had some stake in the game here as, living in Hallsville and following the Ladycats. So wishing you the best of luck hitting the ground running here, man, over the summer and getting into the fall.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks again to Coach Andrew Harbison, the new head coach of Hallsville Volleyball, the Ladycats. Best of luck, and we will certainly be following him and his team in the coming fall. Thanks, everyone out there, for listening again. This has been From the Press Box on the Right Team podcast. Until next time, keep writing your story. At Stiles Electric, we believe in doing the job right every single time. Since 1999, we've built a reputation for being reliable, professional, and experienced across commercial projects throughout East Texas. And right now, we're growing. If you're an electrician or looking to start a career in the electrical trade, we want to hear from you. At Stiles Electric, you're not just another employee, you're part of a team that takes pride in its work and its people. Join a company where service speaks for itself. Apply today and power your future with Stiles Electric. At Hallsville Independent School District, excellence isn't just a goal, it's our tradition. Home of the Bobcats, Hallsville ISD is known for championship caliber athletic programs and award-winning academics that set our students apart. From competition arenas to the classroom, Bobcats rise to the challenge, achieving at the highest levels and representing our community with pride. Hallsville ISD, where Bobcats are built to compete, achieve, and succeed. Here in East Texas, every story matters, and Right Team Services is here to help you tell yours. From grant writing for local schools and nonprofits to social media, press releases, and website content for small businesses, we're proud to serve the people and communities right here at home. Clear, professional, effective. If you've got something to say, we'll help you say it right. Right Team Services, serving East Texas one story at a time.